And welcome back to Subculture After Dark. Well, Ringworm need no introduction to most of you out there. This is a band who have been in the industry now for over 30 years. They've got their brand new album coming out on August the 18th called Seeing Through Fire. It's their first album on the Nuclear Blast label, so we actually thought we would get the frontman of Ringworm on the phone right now. James, also known as the Human Furnace. Welcome to the program, James.
Hi, glad to be here.
Now, James, this is an absolutely amazing album. I've had the chance to sit down and take a listen to it, and I loved it, so congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. We put a lot of work into it. We're pretty happy with it.
Now, tell us a little bit about this album, because I understand that you guys took a little bit of a different approach with this album.
Well, in a lot of ways, yes. In a lot of ways, no. I mean, our songwriting, patterns haven't really changed. Meaning, Matt will write some songs. He'll bring them to our drummer. They'll work on them a little bit, and I usually hear the songs when they're already almost done.
Yep.
So that way, and then I go and do my vocals. Now we did that the same way, but this time, our engineer, where we recorded, had a little more input into the, I guess you could say, the way the mix came out, the overall sound. He had a pretty clear vision of how he wanted, he thought he could make this record sound. So sonically, it's a lot, not that the other records are bad. This one just has an extra grit to it, an extra rawness to it, without being too muddy. It's just a very aggressive record, and more so than some of the other ones. It's just got a bite to it that the other ones don't seem to have.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about your engineer, are you talking about Noah Buchanan?
I am.
Yeah.
We recorded the last record with him. He recorded all the primary instruments, and then we had it mixed elsewhere. And then I actually did my vocals at Spider Studio, which we had done our previous, a lot of records at that studio as well. Now this time, and after the last record, Noah's like, you got to let me do the whole thing. Let me do the whole thing, and everything will be great. So this time we did everything with Noah, from recording, mix, mastering, everything. So Noah had a really good vision. He's got a great ear, and he was able to get the performances out of us that make the record sound the way it does.
Yeah. When a producer comes to you like that and says, "Hey, look, I've got a vision. This is what I want to do." Do you get nervous? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I wouldn't call him a producer.
Yep.
He's a great engineer, and he does have a good ear. So he didn't come in to the whole project saying, "Look, I want you guys to sound like this," but he has a great ear for tones and guitars, and he's also a musician himself. So he didn't produce it, but he was there to kind of just steer us in certain directions, and just the overall sound of the mix. His mix is great on it. Just the overall heaviness, and everything is in its place, and it's loud and it's heavy and it's raw, but you can still hear everything crystal clear. Nothing steps on each other, and and that's all a tribute to him.
Yeah.
So he was able to mix us and make us sound fucking vicious as fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were your first thoughts when you started to hear the music played back to you? Because it is pretty vicious and it's very raw. So what were your thoughts when you first heard that?
Well, my thoughts are, this is what we do. This is, every record is similar in that fashion. And when I hear the records, this record and any of our records, my first thought is like, God damn, this is so pissed off. Who the fuck would want to listen to this? That's what I think most times when I hear our stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is so angry. Who listens to this? But I understand, and I guess that's a good thing, because you kind of, when you get in there vocally, you kind of just leave it all on the court, so to speak, and let it all rip. So, but hearing it back, I kind of knew we had a different sound, sonically a different a different sounding record than some of the previous ones. So, but yeah, we were all stoked on it. We were going to put it out ourselves, and because when this record was being recorded, it was during the lockdown and the shutdown and all that, and we did not have a record label. We did not have a manager or booking agent. We really, had nothing going for us, really.
Yeah.
Except for the desire to keep playing music and write another record. So we did. And when we were done with it, like I said, we had intentions of just like putting it out ourselves, because at the time there wasn't a lot of, like Relapse had passed on their option for the next one, and which was fine. We had a nice run with them. And we were going to put it out ourselves. And when we were done, Noah was kind of like, guys, this record sounds really fucking good. He goes, you should really shop it around. And I had called a few people, and they got, someone at Nuclear Blast heard it, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. We'll put it out. So
what does that mean to you, being on one of the biggest heavy metal labels in the world? What does that mean to you personally?
You know what? It's great. It's totally awesome. I mean, it's great it's a good feeling to know that you've been doing this for so long, and you still bring it. You still bring it. You still, there's still fire there. There's still stuff that people appreciate, that still appreciate for what we do. And we're just excited for the fact that, with Nuclear Blast comes, quite a larger reach. So now there's so many other people that could probably hear what we do that will appreciate it. And that can make all the difference, especially in bands, such as ours. We do okay, but, we've, for years, we just haven't seemed to get, I guess, in front of a lot of faces like we should, and this is going to help.
Yeah,
we feel great about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. This album will probably get out to a lot of people that haven't heard your music before. Does it feel like a new era for you because you will have a lot of new fans listen to this album?
Yeah. I mean, it totally feels like. I mean, and that goes along with everything else, with the new album cover. Our previous three, I draw all our album covers. The previous three kind of had a theme. This one is completely different from the last few. So that's one little, I guess you could call it a new beginning, I guess you could say. The production is part two. That's a newer beginning, a newer sound, a fresher sound, a different sound than the rest of the records. And then we have a new record label. So it's kind of like we're kind of reintroducing ourselves to a larger audience. And the best thing about it really is those people that will hear this record and just get invested in it and get invested in the band, the thing that makes me happy is they have so much history to look up that, you often find a new band that you love, and then what you do is you automatically go back and look at their back catalog, and our back catalog is pretty big.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of listening and catching up to do, and a lot of music to listen to, so that's good.
Definitely. James, you mentioned that this album was recorded during the pandemic lockdowns, and during that time, was it difficult for you guys to get together to record during that time?
Well, yeah, it was a difficult time fortunately, the way we work is Matt kind of writes a lot of stuff on his own. He'll tape it. He'll, make a recording of it, send it to our drummer, and then they can get together privately and work on it. We didn't start laying down the tracks until the pandemic had just left, so people were starting to be able to get together and, be around each other, so they say. And but that whole time period is weird because lots of bands didn't make it through that because that was a really tough time. Bands weren't touring. People that weren't technically players in bands had to get real jobs. They had to get other jobs too. You know what I mean? Drivers and caterers and managers and booking agents and merch people. All those people had to go out and find other employment because there was no music. And a lot of people that were in the music industry just never came back.
Yeah.
They found other employment that was better, or they started a family, or, and so it was difficult to navigate that, especially for a band as old as ours. You know what I mean? It's not sometimes it's not as easy as it was when you were younger. So we were able to get the music written and get in the studio and start recording it. And you know, like I said, we had every intention because to put it out ourselves. Relapse had they had an option for a fourth record with them, and they decided to pass on it. So we're like, okay, that's all right. We had a great relationship with them for 3 records, but you know, the pandemic was kind of weird on them because you know, that whole time no one stopped creating stuff. So all of a sudden, when things were open again, it was a flood of new music, just an absolute bottleneck of new music, from producing vinyl records and cassettes and CDs and bands and labels trying to put out as many stuff as they could. And it would have been an issue where, like, they wouldn't have been able to put out a record from us for a year. So, and we were ready to go, and we didn't have any time to waste. So we were going to put it out ourselves. And like I said, until we wisely decided to kind of spread it around and see if anyone was interested. And Nuclear Blast jumped on it, and we were like, all right, let's do it.
Definitely. Well, James, also, I want to talk to you about your lyrics. You're known from writing from a very, very personal place. What kind of things were inspiring your lyrics for this album?
Well, they're you know, from record to record, all the topics are the same, because in life you deal with all type. You deal with love, you deal with loss, you deal with how you see the world, things that happen in your life. So from that respect, I sing about the same things, you know. But as you get older, your perspective changes on some things, or you find yourself singing about the same type of thing. But, you know, things happen more than once in your life. You know, you get your heart broken more than once. You know, you hate things. You know, years later, you still hate something. You know what I mean? So, I have a tendency to revisit a lot of stuff and reiterate a lot of things lyrically that still bother me, or still I guess inspire me to write about. So you know, so like I said, I just comment on the human condition, you know, my human condition, and basically the way I see the world going around me, that how it affects me or how I see things. And then I put like a little twist on it to make it a little bit more artistic, I guess. I'm not the greatest of wordsmiths, but I try to keep it raw a little bit, like the music. It matches the music. So I usually shy away from I don't really get political, or I don't try to preach anything, because I'm hardly a perfect person. So I never try to preach to anybody or tell them how they should live their lives, but I just kind of sing about how I feel about stuff, you know?
Yeah. Now, not only are you a brilliant songwriter, but you're also a brilliant artist, and we see that with the cover of Seeing Through Fire. Talk us through a little bit about that process. When do you get the idea of what the cover art is going to look like, and how long does it normally take you to sit down and then conjure it up?
Yeah, this one, thanks, by the way, but this one, like I said, this was part of, I guess, it wasn't a conscious effort to have a fresh beginning with the band, but, you know, the previous 3 records that I did were all kind of more like, you know, fine illustrations, and each one of those record covers took, at very least, between 200 and 400 hours to complete. I mean, they're extreme, like, hyper detailed illustrations, and they're very taxing on me to do them, and they take a very long time. So with this record, when it was completed, there was no album art to it. So, and at the time, we thought we were going to put it out ourselves, so I didn't really feel rushed or to have something, because I figured, well, I'll take my time, I'll do another illustration. And then, you know, the more I listened to the record, the more I felt like, you know what, I'm going to take a fresh approach with this, something, because I just wanted to do something different, something with color, something that, you know, I kind of wanted to, obviously, you know, I took inspiration from a lot of, like, 80s style death metal. I mean, I grew up with records like that, and I never got a chance to do anything like that on my end. So I'm like, maybe I'll do my version of kind of that. So I did. And It took a lot. It wasn't as time consuming, which was relieving, and we were able to get that done and complete the whole record package before we even had a record label ready to put it out. So, yeah, I was really heavily inspired by, like, you know, a lot of 80s and early 90s death metal, Dan Seagrave, stuff like that. I kind of wanted to try my hand at that, and you know, I think with this album, whereas the other albums, I love the artwork. They're more elegant, I guess you could say, in a way. But this one, actually, if you look at the album cover, it looks like the record sounds.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, the other records are great. You look at them, you'd have no idea what the band sounds like. You look at this record cover, and you can probably guess with pretty good what the record's going to sound like.
Yeah. I agree. I'm looking at it.
That's kind of why we wanted to go with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and there's an absolutely amazing cover. Mate, I also wanted to ask, where to now for the band? Like you said, that it feels like a fresh start with a new label. Will you be touring in different territories to where you've toured before, and is there any chance we might see you in Australia?
Well, that's funny you should ask, because nothing is confirmed yet, but there's a very strong possibility you may be seeing us down there before the end of the year.
Awesome. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so we're hopeful that we don't want to promise anything yet, but we're very hopeful that we can make that happen. That being said, we've got a tour coming up here in the States in the end of September with Venom Inc. and old school British metal band called Satan. So that should be a pretty fun tour. That's about 3 weeks. And then after that, we'll see. Maybe we'll be taking a trip down to see you guys, which we're really trying to make that happen.
That would be amazing. Well, mate, we are about to play Thought Crimes on our show right now. So to finish off the interview, what would you like to say to people out there before they go out and grab a copy of Seeing Through Fire?
Well, I'd like to, before you go out there, if you're familiar with this, you know what you're going to get. So I don't have to say anything to you. If you're new to this band, put your seatbelt on, because it's nonstop, it's aggressive, and it basically just smashes you in the face for about a half hour. It's not, it's very uneasy listening music. So if you're into that type of thing, then you'll be picking up the correct record for that. Yeah. I hope everybody likes it. We're pretty happy with it, and we just hope it does well. You know, we hope it brings us places we haven't been before.
Definitely. Well, James, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us tonight. It's been an absolute honor having you on the show, and we hope we see you in Australia very, very soon. Yeah,
well, we hope so too. We have a blast. I mean, some large bands have never gotten down there before. For some crazy reason, we've been able to come down 3 times. And we've had a blast every single goddamn time. So we're hoping to make it happen again.